Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to take this and turn it into this. If you're new here, my name is Bug and I do paper crafts and paper craft adjacent crafts. And I'm so happy that you're here. Let's get into this one. Today we're going to take 4 envelopes and create a mini album. This mini album can be a junk journal. If you only have the envelopes that are pointy, that's fine. I'm using the flat ones. If you have pointy envelopes, then you just want to open up your 4 envelopes and cut a sort of straight line so that they are flat. They do not have to be a full rectangle. You can see that these are angled, so you just want a flat line, and you want it to be, I would say, at least an inch. These are longer than an inch. And also, once you take a look at this project, you may realize maybe you only want a ½ inch or something smaller. But so today I'm going to take my 4 envelopes, and I'm going to take 2 of them, and I'm going to open them up so that the pocket is facing up. I'm going to put one of these inside the other. I didn't take off the strip. You don't have to do anything with the adhesive strip at this point. And then I'm going to do the same thing with these other 2 envelopes. I'm going to open this. I'm going to slide it in here. So now we basically have 2 envelopes that are like this. You have one inside the other. I'm going to take these 2 flaps, and just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to lay them over each other. And this is going to be our spine. So we are going to adhere one envelope to the other with a glue stick. So I'm going to take this flap and I'm just going to glue the entire flap. And I'm going to lay it on top of this flap. So I want this end to line up with this end here. Doesn't need to go over. We also want to make sure that the bottoms of our envelopes are at the same height. So once you get it attached, you might want to set it on the table. Take your time. I'm just going to set it like this. I want to make sure it's not too wonky. If it's off by a tiny bit, it doesn't matter. We can burnish this down. And we're just going to leave this for now. At this point, if you want to glue in these inside envelopes, these are the ones where the flaps are just kind of tucked in there, you can do that. However, the easiest thing I find to do this is to put the tiniest bit of glue stick, because the glue stick gives you a lot of wiggle room, just right where the right where the envelopes meet. So my experience with taking off the what is this? The release paper. My experience with trying to get the release paper into the envelope and get it in the right, just the right spot, is not good. My experience. So I like to use wet glue instead. And in this case, I'm not even going to use a liquid glue. I'm going to use glue stick. And that way you have a second to just kind of wiggle it in and adhere it down without, you know, without too many problems. If you want to try getting the, if you want to try removing this and adhering it that way, then that's up to you. You do you. I'm just going to put the tiniest amount of glue here and close it up. Same thing with this one. Now here, I want a pocket. I want to glue it, but I want the pocket to be on this side rather than on this side. So in this case, I'm going to take a tiny bit of glue and glue the back of my flap and slide it in there. So the difference here, before I glue that down, is that in this case I have a pocket in the back behind this other envelope, but I have glue here, so there's no pocket. So I'm going to do this other side different, and I'm going to add glue on the flap and just kind of put it in there so that the glue is in the front part. I'm just going to do something like this really quick, just a tiny bit of glue. And burnish it down. You can see that my envelopes aren't 100% even, but that's okay. Here we are. There's our book. Here's the first page. I have a pocket here in this case, and a pocket here. I have our spine, and then I have the back. So we have a pocket here, and we have a pocket here. Next, you want to take your envelopes and you want to measure them. Now you're going to measure just the regular width of the regular envelope. So something like a 5x7 envelope, you want to measure the 5x7 just to ensure it's actually 5x7. Let me show you. I should have kept an envelope without, okay, sorry. So for me, my 5x7 envelopes are actually 5 1/4 by 7 1/8. That's what I mean by measure your envelopes. Their envelopes give a certain size, but they always have extra room so that your 5x7 card or paper can actually slide in and out without a problem. So whatever size your envelopes are, just grab a ruler and measure them. If you don't have a ruler and don't want to measure them, then that's fine too. because you can just kind of eyeball this next step without the exact measurements. But what I did is I took my measurement for my envelope and I created 8 pieces of, I cut down 8 pieces of cardstock. So, step 2 is you want to glue down these pieces of cardstock to all of your envelopes, the front and the back. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step number 2 is just glue down these pieces of cardstock. I personally cut them down a little smaller than the dimensions that I just took so that there'll be a little border, but you can do that if you want to or not do that. It's up to you. I'm going to start gluing these down, and I'll probably speed it up, but I wanted to note that you have pockets here. So if you want those pockets to remain viable pockets, available pockets, then you'll only want to put glue on this part of your envelope when you glue these down. If you want to hide any of the pockets, then you can just glue down the whole paper. This project does not rely on these pockets. These pockets are just extra space, so you do whatever you need to do or want to do. For me, just so that I know how far over to stop gluing, I am going to just put my paper where I want it and use this line, which is the end of that page flap, the end of this piece, and use it as a guide. So I want to make sure to get a lot of glue on this end and not so much after here. So the next part, part 3, is the spine and the signature. So you'll want to measure your spine. You already know the height, so you can now measure the width and cut down a piece of cardstock to go both on the outside and the inside, but don't glue them down yet. Let me show you. I have 2 that are this size. One for the outside, one for the inside. This is another one where it can go all the way to the top or to the edge or have a border around it. My particular envelopes do have this angle, and I'm not even worried about that little angle. We're just going to cover up most of this with cardstock, and it is whatever it is. However it turns out, it turns out. So go ahead and cut those down. Deciding if how many signatures you want in here, and if you're going to do more than 2, then yours might look a little different than mine, but I'm just going to do 1 at this point because I want a few pages, and we have a lot of room in this book, but the pages are going to grow, right? We're going to put a bunch of stuff in here. We're going to put our ephemera and our photos and our stickers and our things, and maybe journaling if you're into that. And so these pages will get a little wider. So I'm just going to put 1, and what I'm going to do here is kind of decide where I want my signatures. Since I'm just doing 1, I just want it to be down the middle of this little spine strip. So I'm going to fold it in half. You can alternately just kind of score down the middle, whatever works right for you. Maybe I do need to score it. Oh, there it goes. Just kind of working it through. Trying to get the corners to meet. This cardstock is fairly heavy. Heavyweight. So, no, not even. Okay. So, now I have kind of a little area where my signature can go. There are 2 ways to do this. I've got my spine, it's still not glued down. I'm going to lay it in here, and I can go ahead and I can sew this in. And then I can glue this spine strip after, or I can glue the spine strip and on 1/2 and then sew it down, using that as a guide. I know that probably doesn't make any sense. So what I'm going to say now is that you can also staple it. And stapling is easiest if you don't have, obviously, bookbinding tools. You can always staple it and then just glue the strip down here. And that gives you your pages. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions about that. I can always do a different video doing it that way. But for today's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue, or I'm sorry, I'm going to glue half of my strip down and sew in my signature. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can definitely do a no-sew method for this with the staples as an alternate version. So now I only glued half of my spine. Now I'm gonna figure out where it goes. So you can definitely just open it up and lay it down. For my pages, so for my signature pages, I just went into my stash and grabbed a bunch of papers that I like, and I cut them down. The length of your pages is going to be the length of essentially these papers that you just cut, but doubled. So when you do the math on this, sometimes it feels natural to do a full dimension or a full length of this book while it's open on your table, but that's not how the pages are going to sit. So the pages are just going to sit from this middle part of the signature, and they're really only going to be as long as one of these envelopes. And then the height is just a little shorter than your envelope, because you want it to just kind of be inset just a little bit. I hope that makes sense. You definitely just you can pull out a piece of paper and fold it and put it in your book and make that your kind of template or guide, and then use that to cut all your other pages. You can definitely put pages in here that aren't as wide or aren't as tall, but in my experience, it's best to have a page that is at least as tall as you want as the first page of your signature, just for ease of attaching it. But if you don't want to do that and you want to try something else, go ahead and do that. I'm going to if you are using staples, then you don't have to watch this part. You can forward to the next step. But I am going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch to stitch these in. So I'm going to grab a couple clips. And my awl. If you're not familiar with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, I do have videos on it, but there are like thousands of videos on 3-hole pamphlet stitch across YouTube. So you can just look up 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I can link mine below though. So I am taking my signature of folded pages, and I'm just kind of, they're all set inside each other, nestling, leaning the fold of the signature into the fold of this spine piece, this black piece, and then attaching them with a binder clip here. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just make sure it all kind of lines up, and I'm going to attach it with a binder clip down here. And I will forward over this part. But you're going to use your awl. I'm going to go all the way through. Now just take your glue and glue it down here. That white adhesive release strip is not really going to show from mine, but you can definitely take yours off if you have that, and also use some glue stick here to make sure it's all glued down. There we go. So, okay, whether you stapled down and glued in your signature or you sewed it in, it's now time to cover the outside spine. So technically this is a hidden spine. Our next step is to find some ephemera or scrapbook paper or bits and bobs to decorate your book. Today I'll be using scrapbook paper. This was just in my stash. This is by Cartabella. It's Craft and Create by Stephen Duncan. Stephen Duncan is my favorite scrapbook paper illustrator. This one is all about, you can see different crafting and art. So what I did is I measured my page, this time just using the black cardstock. So I took both measurements, and in this case I just measured this black matte paper, and I cut 7 pieces of cardstock that are just 1/4 of an inch less wide and tall. And I cut 8 of those. Maybe I cut 7 of those. And then I went through the cut aparts of my paper pack and I found a large one. I think that the majority of paper packs have 6x4 cut aparts now. And I decided I was going to make this the front. I know that this is has writing on it that is directional, but I kind of like that it's going to be this way. I'm also considering putting a little bit of lace underneath, so let me grab that. For this process, I'm going to use wet glue. Of course, you don't have to put a second layer on your paper, or you maybe just used full book pages or used scrapbook paper with designs for your matting sheet already. So that's all up to you. This is just the decoration portion of our project. Since this is the orientation of my cover, I am going to start kind of down here, not exactly at the corner. I'm trying to figure out if I can just glue this without too much fuss. I think so. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to add some wet glue. This is Art Glitter Glue. I don't even need that much really. But I have this lace that has a scallop on one side and then the straight edge. So I'm going to lay the straight edge on the inside over the glue and have the scallop sticking out. Then I'm just going to do a little fold here. Let's see, how can we do this? Fold it under and over. You just play with it. Just play with it. And then add some more glue here. So I'm going to kind of pinch it. Lay that down. Oh, I need a lot of glue here, I guess. Having a little problem, but we can work through it. there. And then maybe a dot of glue right here. Huh? That's what I'm missing. See if I can do the same thing here. I'll start out this time by putting a dot of glue here. Okay, I'm going to put a big dot of glue here and then see what happens. So I'm having trouble with these staying down. However, I'm going to glue this onto the cover of my book, so maybe I just will let it go and not worry about it much unless I run into a problem while I'm gluing it to the book. All right, before you glue on your cover, make sure your book is in the right orientation. I don't know if I have any pages that were in a specific orientation or that it matters, but I'm just going to take a quick look. Doesn't look like it. A little wonky, but that's okay. It's handmade. So for this, I'm going to do glue stick over the whole thing, and then I'm just going to do art glitter glue kind of inside the lace, just around the perimeter. Trying hard to not disturb the lace. I'm going to put a dot of glue here, and here, and here, and here, just for good measure. Then I'm going to stand up so I can see my angle here. And we're just going to take the rest of our pages and glue them on. If you want to put a tie closure in this book, now is a good time to add a piece of lace coming here off of the front page, and then another one here under the back page, so you can cover those up if you want to. I also cut one down for this part of the spine. So this one was a cut that I wanted to use, but it was short, so I just figured I would make a pocket. I'm going to make a very simple pocket, meaning I'm not going to do a gusset or anything like that. It'll just be flat. By 4 3/4. upside down. I like to use just a thin line of glue for a pocket. Okay, so our book is done, but now's a chance to add more decoration. So I have some cut aparts and some ephemera that are still in this collection, and I also have the sticker sheet. So I'm going to take a little bit and decorate the book a little bit more, and then I'll be back to do a flip through. Okay, so I didn't add very much more. Didn't add anything to the cover. We open it up. First page here, under this pocket, I added a journaling card that I made from one of the cut aparts. I just backed it with an index card that is, this is vertical lined. It is a little longer than your standard index card. So a regular index card would go about to here. But then, let's see, nothing in this pocket. I did create a little belly band with one of the other cut aparts. I tried to glue it down. I'll probably glue it. I don't know how I'll do that. I'll have to maybe pull it up. And then make it a little tighter. And by that I mean just like gluing it down a little higher and a little lower so that it is adhered to more of this background. But I put a couple of things in this just to demonstrate that it's a belly band. So I just added an index card and another one of the cut aparts. Here is our signature. I didn't do anything in there. In this pocket, I added the entire pack of ephemera, and I just figured that whoever gets this this journal can decorate it however they like with all of those pieces. And last, I added some little manila tags that I simply decorated with some of the stickers. There's nothing on the back of these. Just used some ribbon, tied those on, and added a little card in here. And that's it. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.